Yeah, that's very well said. And the stereotype conversation, I guess the most succinct way to put it is that it is based both in ignorance and truth. Like, I mean, you've heard this before. It's a cliche about stereotypes to say, well, they exist for a reason. But I mean, really, they do. The danger is when you come in saying all of, this minority is that way, all of this
black or
group
white
is that way. That's the problem. But to assume a gay person might like Broadway, right? Is anyone gay and likes Broadway in this room right now? Okay, well, you're all stereotypes. I'm about to destroy those stereotypes. See, it's like ridiculous. It's like, I'm gay, I love Broadway.
How many straight people here like Broadway?
That's right. He like there's tons of stuff on Broadway.
They're cultural for straight people.
Say that again?
For straight people, you say, hey, they come from cultural backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's completely different than a gay person loving Broadway.
Right.
I have friends who are straight and love Broadway.
Yeah.
No straight actors on Broadway.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah. And so you
You're right.
have to let people be who they are. And I think that on the other side of that, people need to stop getting so offended. I don't like Broadway, okay? Like there one or two, maybe that
Really
Sean
like
dragged me.
Broadway. You
Yeah,
love
you
it.
dragged me
You
to
were
a
like
thing.
tearing up watching
I was in a weird place in my
Love it.
life. It affected me emotionally more than it would have
I
normally.
was like, the whole time I was complaining because we were sitting like way back up. I was like, I can't see anything. Oh, the music's great. I listen to that. I look over. He's sobbing.
And it was like a matinee, so it was totally quiet. Nobody else was sobbing.
I loved it.
Anyway, my point is, you're making me cry now. The people that get offended, like if somebody said, hey, I got you tickets to this thing on Broadway, I wouldn't be like, oh, what, because I'm gay? You think I'm gonna like Broadway? I'm so offended. Like, no, I happen not like Broadway, but I'll give these to someone else, or you should. And so I think that it's two-sided. Like, don't assume everyone is, but it's okay when people are.
Because there's nothing wrong with liking Broadway. It's the
Right,
point you
exactly.
made before,
That's not a negative, exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, like, just chill out, like, just don't get so offended and stuff.
I have so many Broadway shows I want to talk to you about that.
I definitely like Broadway.
I like Broadway. But I think it's interesting talking about stereotypes and ones that you can play into, or if you're just writing a person, whether they really are stereotypes. Talking about maybe cheeks with one-liners. Because I think there's the wisecracking,
Right.
And I mean, do you ever think as you're writing this, like, oh, I wonder if I should go here because it might play into what everyone's expecting?
The wonderful thing about Cheeks is that Brad knows what Cheeks will say and think in any given situation. As long as I've known him, as well as I know him and the character, very frequently I write a line, send it to Brad, and Brad goes, are you crazy? Cheeks would say, no, he would say this other thing, it's like totally opposite. But the wonderful thing about being Brad is that he knows, he never has to hesitate and go, should Cheeks say this or not say this? He just knows what Cheeks is in his soul.
Yeah, I love that you know the wonderful thing about being me. The wonderful thing about being Jane.
Jane's me. Jane writes Brady.
I do, I write a lot
She
of
writes all
Brady.
Brady lines.
Well, and I think that a lot of those choices are informed by Sean and I, and that's, it was important to us when we started casting. We wanted somebody who was gay in reality because we knew that would help inform those choices in a much different way. And Sean had a much different experience than I did growing up because he had quote unquote straight privilege that he could sort of hide behind. And I've never
Are you
had
saying
that.
I look straight? Is that what you're
So,
saying?
not today.
Yeah.
You are pink, nice and proud. That's from here. I'm trying.
It's such a stereotype, Sean. And so, a lot of times the choices that we make for the characters will be informed by that. So, I love camping. Sean, do you know anything about camping?
Yeah, as a Boy Scout.
Like, if I threw you, oh, you were? Okay. See, I wasn't a Boy Scout, but you were. And I love
I
camping
was a Boy Scout because I was Mormon.
and the desert.
They make you do that.
Okay, yeah.
I Scout camp I hated, but I had such a crush on this one boy, and that made it okay.
There you go. for the same reason. No, I really did. It's hilarious. I showed up to practice first day with my pads on upside down.
Wait, back to the straight privilege, this thing, like, the misconception is that I may have looked that way, but like, I was so scared, I worked so hard to survive that way, you know what I mean?
I'm not saying it didn't take work to hide behind it.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's not this simple thing that, like, prancing around it. I was terrified, like, deathly afraid of people finding out. So I actually built this straight facade to hide behind. It wasn't this thing that magically appeared. So it was just as detrimental to me, obviously, I know you're not comparing that, but to anybody else who was probably more overtly gay or feminine who couldn't hide it as much. It's the same amount, it's the same feeling place, it's the same place where it's coming from and hiding behind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And we totally need to have Brady say that.
Yeah, that's
I know
It's
exactly where
that's an internal, personal torture. Mine was external. I was bullied every single day.
Yeah, I'm saying the feelings were exactly the same.
Right. That's yeah.
The outward experience may have looked a little bit different, but the feelings were exactly the same.
Yes.
By the way, we are going to take questions, so if anyone wants to line up.
We're
Where
getting
is
down
going
and
with that,
dirty and
guys?
deep today, so I mean, you got something?
Where I was going with that was that because the decisions are so frequently based on who we are as people, that's how we get complex characters that sometimes live up to a stereotype, and sometimes they defy expectation, and I think it's more interesting to say, like, well, what's the real thing? Like, would I do that, or is my experience this? Yes or no? Is that expected? Why? You know what I mean? And then exploring the reality of that in a funny way.
I wanted to comment on your thing about Cheeks being a wisecracker. There's a great, in one of Patton Oswalt's routines, he talks about, like, I want to create the character that's the gay guy who's not very witty, but everyone expects him to have witty lines. So he's always things like, that's just like, what's that show with the guy? Never come up with a reference.
Well, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the last season, directing it, producing it, and where you might want to go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not staying at all.
Well, this last season, actually 2 storylines came out in the last season, I Do Over and I Dream of Cleaning, so we got to work with the amazing Amy Acker. And then I Dream of Cleaning that we've talked about, which was really about what am I bringing to this marriage, and how do they assign the roles. And it was 2 very different experiences. We actually filmed them a year apart, but both really exciting, really rewarding, except the terrifying moment where we thought we'd put Cheeks' eye out. When we were doing that stunt at the garbage disposal.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Yeah, we did. We shot his eye out.
Yeah.
This one.
Put it back.
It was terrifying. But yeah, what do you want to know about the process of it?
I want to know all that. I mean, I've been on the set, and it was one of the most fun sets I've ever been on. Everybody was really relaxed. Everyone seemed to be really having a good time.
Yeah. Well, and I secretly put drugs on food that day.
Is that what
I knew you were going to be there. I wanted to set a good impression.
That explains so much. Well, talk a little bit about directing it and how that's changed things for you.
It's been incredible, like, to join this family. Jeff Greenstein directed the first 3 seasons of it, and then it was passed to me, and I got to direct I Dream of Cleaning, and to be welcomed with such open arms by this family that had already been together for years, and it said, hey, come be a part of this, let's celebrate everything that had been done before, and let's try to even take it further. And that was, as a director, especially in television, there's nothing greater than that. The spirit of collaboration. A lot of people throw around the term collaboration. You are looking at 3 people who embody collaboration. I mean, Jane and Brad, how they created the show and how they write it. Sean and Brad, how they created this marriage between the 2. It's a masterclass in it, and one that I was very lucky to be a part of.
Has it led to other opportunities?
Yeah, it has. Well, I asked Jane. This was my first. I come from theater. Speaking of Broadway, that's right. Jane,
And you're straight.
yeah, and I'm straight. So it's funny, when I directed my first show, it was Harvey Fierstein's Safe Sex, and it was in high school. For some reason, everybody thought that at the end, after curtain call, I was going to come out and say that I was out. but I'm not. So it was this anticlimactic moment where I was, again, because the stereotype was, oh, he likes Harvey Firestein, he likes theater, he must be gay. And it's like, no, I love people, and I love these stories. And so, yes, I love theater. And I came from theater, and this was my first TV experience. And Jane, and afterwards I asked Jane, I said, look, I want to do more TV, what should I do? And she said, well, you should apply for the ABC directing program. And so I did, and ended up found out a few weeks ago that I got into it. So when it comes to husbands and that, I will be doing more TV, but always this way, because TV is where the best, in my opinion, the best writers of our generation. You know, you look at different generations, and writers tend to gravitate towards different mediums. Sometimes it's film, sometimes it's theater, sometimes it's television, and right now it is television. The great writers, the great minds of this generation, of our time, are in television, and I'm sitting next to two of them. And
He's talking about both.
it's talking about Trump. It's been, it's been a true joy.
He's so eloquent today.
I know.
Listen to him talk about
Yeah,
it.
you sure got articulate the last few weeks, Eli. You were taking classes?
And Eli had to roll with some stuff, because doing something on the tight budget and tight schedule that we make husbands on, there were things like restaging the thing in the bathroom, and cleaning the windows in the living room. There was a day that it looked like we would make our day because the windows were streaky. And it's like, on a big production, you don't worry about that. You say, someone bring in the new windows, and the windows are replaced. But Brad actually cleaned the windows himself.
He washes windows. If anyone's house, Brad does great windows.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was cleaning a mirror. I apparently clean a lot, and I was trying to get the streaks off the mirror, and I don't know. You know how certain moments replay in your head, and really it's kind of pointless. But because when those windows were streaky, I was like, what? That looks awful. Why are those windows not clean? And somebody went, oh, we tried. We just can't get it to not be streaky. And so I'm cleaning this mirror like a year later, a day ago, and thinking,
And getting angry all over again.
tell me you can't get the streaks off the glass. You can't get the streaks off the glass. Yeah, I'll show you. You can just get the streaks off the glass.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, going forward, should anything happen in the future, going forward, are there specific things that have happened in recent history around gay rights that you want to talk about? Sports figures coming out publicly, anything you would mention?
I mean, it's getting a little tricky. Like, I was thinking about how are we continuing the story is going to be difficult because things happen so quickly now, and like the MLB just came out with their ambassador for gay rights and what have you. And I'm like, okay, for a gay baseball player that isn't even out yet, they don't even have one officially, and they're ready to have one.
Yeah.
And it just seems like things progress so quickly that I'm concerned that any direction we go or anything we get in the can may shift before we have an opportunity to unveil it.
Well, does that mean you guys would stop watching? I mean, are you still in? Because, sometimes there's a great value in being predictive. There's also just a great value in reflecting what's currently happening. And gay marriage is here now and here to stay. And all of those marriages that are getting started will continue to have problems as long as any marriage has problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not concerned. I don't think I think we have been amazingly predictive. Brad has been amazingly predictive of socio-political stuff, but I think the show stands even without that.
He predicted Anderson Cooper coming
He
out.
predicted it, yes, that's right. We have predicted Tim Tebow coming out when the clock's still running on that.
Yeah, that's going to take a while.
But someone asked me in an interview today if we ever talked to the Dodgers about the fact that we have referenced a few times Brady being an LA Dodger. And I remember thinking that when we started this show, our thought was like, God, no, we sure hope they don't notice. We sure hope they don't get sued. Now I started thinking like, maybe we should call them. Maybe they want a sponsor.
Yeah.
Basically liaison that they hired.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
We were in production when the Supreme Court decision came down. We're right, when Project was up, we were in production when, on I Dream of Clooney, when there was a landmark, no, it's like the second.
There were a number of landmark stuff, but it feels like that one was earlier than that, but I'm not sure.
I thought we were.
I know that New York legalized gay marriage like 2 months before our season 1 came out.
Which was really weird because, like, nobody was talking about gay marriage daily. You know what I mean? Like in 2011, marriage equality was not like the same sort of regular headline the way it is now. So there was this weird like period of 4 to 6 months where we would tell people about our show and it was like mind blowing, like, whoa, that's so edgy. And now it's just strange that we live in this world where it's kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, that makes sense for a show.
Right. But I designed a T-shirt with, I had this idea of like, let's make a T-shirt with a map of the United States with all the marriage equality states colored in. And then we started going like, well, wait, this, like by the time we get this printed, there'll be like 3 more states. So we ended up putting a caption on it that says equality, changing too quickly for T-shirt makers.
And now you can color in the states.
Yeah, you can color them in as they
The
go.
ones that haven't legalized it are left blank.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of work left to be, so you guys need to keep writing episodes, so, you know,
Yeah.
society
I
can
just-
just follow up.
Yeah, I
That's
like-
right, maybe
There's
it's
a lot of work
cause
to be
cause and
done.
effect goes the other way, maybe we're causing it, and we
There you
need
go.
to keep writing.
Well, it seems like going international is never gonna be old because there's so, like you started this panel with talking
China,
about what's
yeah.
happening international. Like,
Right.
there is still so much work to be done.
I'm not worried, I don't think our job is done.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, far from it.
Well, considering the name of the panel, I did want to talk a little bit about creating web series. And the decision, coming from TV, coming from where you come from, what was it like making the decision to go into do this in this form specifically? And what advice would you have for people who want to start?
But this form, it was easy to decide to do it online because the amount of layers of bureaucracy and the time it takes to go through the network process, and then the number of cooks that are there when you're trying to develop a show.